Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
What's up, what's down, what is going on around? I'm Paulo Lee Singh, founder of StartupInTaiwan.com. This show is to answer your questions about starting up in Taiwan, so leave your questions in the comment section below. Today I don't have any guests, but I was able to cover an event, the t.Hub Startup Carnival 2021, which is part of the 2021 Taipei International Startup Week. The topic for today is about Metaverse here in Taiwan. I recorded one specific panel discussion, which is Metaverse, whether this is applicable to Taiwan, and if so, what's Taiwan's advantage. The event was hosted by Mosaic Ventures' Volker Heistermann with his guest Bruce Bateman, who is the Chief Innovation Advisor of LITEON, Luca Fiore, who is the Head of Product at ADATA Technology, and Sascha Pallenberg, the CAO Aware, the platform and former Head of Digital Transformation Information at Daimler. So, without further ado, here is the discussion between them.
What's mean to you, and what's Taiwan's opportunity, and who's going to build it?
Watch my video. On Iceberg, our channel, right? Bruce knows everything, it's the channel.
So, to me, the Metaverse is the combination. Break things down. You got to break it down to, there is the headset part, there is going to be the room part, there's going to be the software, the headset part, then there's going to be environmentals like rain, snow, and whatever, trying to give you that really, really good feeling or the experience. But what is the UI? What are the sensors we're going to use? That's what I really focus on and care about. But then there's a whole new area that I've been exploring the last few weeks, which is inside the Metaverse. So I'm not a cryptocurrency guy, because cryptocurrency you talked about, you step on the central bank's toes, and that's not good. But if you look at what the Metaverse does, and Fortnite has shown this, I can buy something for my avatar in Fortnite with cash, real money, and I buy and I get a piece of armor or a suit or something, and then I can sell that. So if I buy it for $1, and then I sell it for $2 in the Metaverse, well, I make currency. Now I have transactions, and the government doesn't know about it. Nobody can tax me. So if it's a small game, when we start talking about Metaverse, and I'm really living in it, and we're trying to buy real estate or all these worlds, people are going to get you to come in and live, you're talking about some substantial money, and it's really mind-boggling because now we have no government regulations in here.
I think Luca disagrees with you.
Actually, no. I have to really disappoint you there. So Bruce is actually definitely right on one point. The blockchain part of blockchain is fundamental to the Metaverse. That's actually the fundamental shift that is happening from the initial VR revolution. So one key thing, so I grew up in the HP old school of thinking of computing being something that over the years, if you analyze the way the computing paradigm has been changing, has become closer and closer and closer to you, right? So you went from mainframes in a big room to the personal computer. It is now something you can use and digitize your content. Now you go to mobile phone, and we know how tremendous the impact of mobile phones in everybody in this room is a mobile phone in a pocket, and we all live by it. It's our best friend, and even better than dogs. And essentially, the Metaverse really bring the new piece of paradigm shift. Instead of being 30 to 50 centimeters away, now you're inside. And that's really the closest you can get. And so, at this point, you being inside on a digital experience presents a very critical point, which is how do you authenticate things inside this critical experience? And there is no better technology today than using blockchain, right? So I'm not saying that I'm advocating necessarily for cryptocurrencies in the virtual world, which will happen anyway. This is something that you're not going to escape.
It won't happen in the outside world, it'll happen in the metaverse.
It will happen in the metaverse. So think about the fact that, like Bruce was saying, exchange of object. Now, I'm selling an object that is only lives in a virtual world. How do I certify that it is authentic? And there is no better way today than a shared ledger, because you always know with each part of the ledger that came with it. And it's technically not that easy to hack, and it really represents ownership to a digital level. So the implementation of that in supply chains think about in the future, you're not going to get receipts. You can prove that you own an object, virtual or real, by a blockchain token. Yeah, NFT maybe as an art form is a little bit of a fad of the moment, but NFT as a non-functional but critical point of the supply chain. Think about ownership, but also think about warranty. That's one thing that, for instance, inside the industry we're studying a lot. And that's something that I foresee to pick up very quickly because of the
Sascha. Okay, so we got the German, we got the Taiwan perspective of the metaverse, we got the Italian version of the metaverse. What's the German version of the metaverse? And then Bruce can continue moderating. Bruce wants to be a speaker and moderator at the same time.
I think Meta is one of the smartest marketing bullshit of our last 20 years, right?
Whoa.
Seriously.
Seriously.
I would have loved them to approach me to ask me what they should do, and I would have told Facebook, just change your name so you get the bad, ugly headlines out of the news. Jeez, this is what is it, like Second Life 5.0 or what? Right? And you know, the first time, here comes the thing, the first time I bought on eBay additional goods for Diablo 2, that was a Magic Axe with amazing specs and whatnot. That was just 20 years ago. My girlfriend at that time didn't talk to me for 2 days straight after this because she thought I was completely nuts, right? Doing World of Warcraft, right? We had people making a shitload of money in the World of Warcraft world. The thing is, the problem is that VR, which is actually from the fundamental idea of it, like 40 or 50 years old, right? I mean, the first headsets from the MIT, Steve Mann was one of the amazing pioneers of this from the early 80s. When I looked in the Game Boy VR, that was 30 years ago, right? That was VR. I actually just sold the first generation of the Oculus Rift. That was a Kickstarter project at that time before Facebook bought them. What I would love to tell you guys is just, I mean, there's nothing new in it. Maybe it is about timing, right? And this is what the VR world needs to get is GTA Online or World of Warcraft moment, because it never ever really took off, right? The headsets are quite heavy, right?
Look at this case.
The resolution sucks. You're sweaty underneath. Plus, on top of it, the content sucks. Yeah.
Somebody hasn't used VR for a long time.
Yeah, a long time.
Hold on. I actually did a lot of time on using it for sim racing, which is pretty cool. But besides that, you're gonna end up like watching 360 videos on YouTube. I can also put a goldfish bowl on my head and look at the real world because the resolution is much better, the sound is much better, and this is why they came up with this metaverse thing. But here's the thing, and this is for your support, right? What I truly believe in, and this is quite important in my opinion, for almost the last 20 years, we're talking about the platform economy. Yeah? You mentioned smartphones. We're selling about 1.4 billion smartphones a year. And actually, we're not really running a platform economy when you look at the revenues that we're getting out of the hardware channels by selling smartphones compared to the revenues that we're getting out of the software channel by running services, by actually doing a platform economy. The platform economy right now is about selling platforms and not having economy on the platform. And the metaverse is going, and the VR world, the metaverse is going to change it because we're coming from a hardware industry, or from hardware industries finally into software industries that are starting new economies in a virtual world. But this is also 20 years old.
Bruce, can I join the panel? As a panelist?
How many want him on the panel?
I'm a surprise for Sascha. I disagree with them.
Whoa.
Why? And I will tell you guys why. You're startups here, and investors always need to see, because their investors, the LPs, want them to invest in trends. And if you're a startup last years and you don't have blockchain in your deck, the investors will not take the meeting. If you don't have AI in the deck, artificial intelligence, the investors will not take the meeting. And unfortunately, going forward, if you don't put the metaverse in your deck, you're not going to get the meeting.
As you said, it's a marketing bullshit.
Right? We agree.
So first of all, we should separate the discussion of what VR is from what the metaverse is. VR is a way to look at the metaverse, but it's not the metaverse. Okay, so that's a fundamental thing that people should be aware of, because VR is a fantastic technology. I've been helping building the first days of VR. I've been amazed and mind blown. I've been also disappointed by it in many ways. But essentially, obviously, VR has the comfort issues. Even though there's been incredible steps ahead from the beginning, and now it's very viable, it's still something you have to strap on your head. So it's still something that requires a certain level of preparation. But the key point is Metaverse is everything. Think about Epic Games. Epic Games that has collected from Sony, from others, created a $1 billion fund to create a Fortnite Metaverse story. Fortnite is an economy for a free-to-play game. Is an economy of its own that generates billions of dollars every month. Yeah. And you know, actually, it's funny. I was taking a meeting at E3 with Epic Games talking about VR. It was in 2016. That was before Fortnite came out. And inside Epic Games, Fortnite was an absolute joke. It's the project that they canceled three times, and they only resuscitated for one reason and one reason only, because there was another game called PUBG, or PlayerUnknown's Battleground, which was making the trends with the gaming arena story, right? With that method of killing each other on a server. And so really, and by the way, it's no news, it's Highlander all over again. So the key point is, from a project that was cancelled 3 times and everybody was laughing inside the company that generated it, that became the single most profitable cash cow in software, with 250 million players playing on a daily basis. Roblox, 45 billion evaluation, what? We're talking about a company that from nothing managed to create a 45 million players a day type of economy and growing. So really, if you look at the metaverse only from a VR perspective, you are going to miss the big picture. VR is a fantastic technology. It will definitely play a virtual part, a very strong part of it. Meta, honestly, we can criticize Zuckerberg and Meta as much as you want for being a fundamental part of our lives, but we all have Facebook accounts, or most of us, and at the end of the day, they were gutsy to invest in Oculus when it was the right time. They brought it up, they poured money into it without return for no reason whatsoever, apart from the fact that they believed into the story. And they are single-handedly pushing everybody towards the future. Fact, everybody in the world, including us today, are talking about the metaverse. Would have we been talking about it this loudly if Zuckerberg would have not done what he's done in the past few weeks? No matter why he did it, etc. But I'm pretty sure that they very strongly believe into that picture. I tell you, 4 months ago, internally in my company, we had a discussion. We have to prepare for CES 2022. And they asked me, Luca, what is the most important megatrend? This is 4 months ago. We were not talking about metaverse back then. And they asked me, what's the most important megatrend that we need to invest on for our booth and Computech, for CES? And I say, the metaverse. And everybody looked like, the meta what? You know, now, 3 months later, it's like, okay. So
yeah, I did the video like 4 or 5 weeks before, and it's like, suddenly everybody cares.
So I think if you're investing in this technology, you're absolutely hitting the right timing, be extremely careful. Obviously, there is a fashion on trends. Clearly, this is a trend that needs to move forward. The AR VR trend was not enough without technologies like blockchain, without the improvement of, by the way, a lot of these technologies share the same fundamental underlying text portions like cameras. And by the way, Taiwan is the leading economy for cameras, for lenses. You know, ask everybody has an iPhone in their pockets. They're all Taiwanese lenses.
What's new except of the name? What's new? Just name a single technology that is new in this.
The key point is Metaverse was not Metaverse without blockchain. That's where I'm going into. And you know, you may disagree because blockchain presents a lot of problems. But here you go. We talked about sustainability. Obviously, blockchain proposes a big issue with sustainability.
What kind of blockchain is PUBG or Fortnite using?
Well,
to run their business, not a single one.
Well, key point is they're not necessarily fully blockchain enabled, but PUBG or Fortnite, they have their own coin, they have their own economy, and that economy will soon be getting more and more blockchain element to it, because otherwise it's not going to be sustainable. It's going to be hackable, and it's going to kill the whole economy value proposition very quickly.
And if you and please don't get me wrong, I'm not opposing this at all. But it's just typical marketing bullshit that is happening in the IT industry for the last 50 years. Remember, like 15 years ago, everyone was talking about cloud computing. Ooh, that's the next big thing. Jeez, it was invented at the MIT in the early 60s, right? It's just constantly coming up, some smart marketing guy. Sometimes I want to be that. Could you imagine you're the marketing agency, Facebook is going to address thing, come up with a new amazing name. And they sit around together like for half a year, and then they say, okay, it's Meta.
Sascha, Sascha, you have to consider that big data, then cloud computing, the edge computing,
yeah, no,
AI.
It's always the same.
The key point
history repeats itself.
There is an underlying technology that evolves, and that's the key point. We can give it new names simply because there is an underlying technology that evolves and evolves and evolves, and it becomes closer and closer to our lives. And it becomes more and more efficient.
Decentralized AI-enabled, you know, we're going to come up with more blockchain product. I got all the buzzwords.
No, as I said, you know, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. But sometimes it seems like, well, of course we're combining various technologies, and of course we're evolving. And I mean, throughout the last 10 years or so, nothing like this, what we are seeing right now, and the potential of, if you would imagine, kind of how they created Fortnite, how mobile gaming took off, especially in the last 5 years or so. This wasn't possible at all like 10 years ago. I'm getting all of this.
Now we talk about 5G.
Exactly.
6G. Okay, our time is almost up, and I know you guys are ready for lunch, but I do want to give you the opportunity to ask a few questions, and you're not going to have more than 1 minute to answer because we're already over.
That's a challenge.
I agree, but I like that, Sascha. I agree, but I disagree. Okay, questions from the audience. Oh, I'm seeing a hand go up at the back there. What's your name and your company?
I'm from the Black Solution Nanotech. It is a new company. I'm Zach.
Hi, Zach.
Thank you. And I have a question. You say it's a business of connection, right? And I made some issue. It's my product sell to the big company, and engineer team say it is good, but eventually was rejected by financing. So, how like us, this kind of small company, nobody, startup company, to sell our material to the big company like you?
Because you don't have a story.
Story, yeah. Here comes the story.
I didn't tell you can go on for 10 minutes. They have 1 minute to answer you. So
okay, no problem.
20 seconds.
Oh, 20 seconds. Okay. I made electromagnetic wave, a solvent material for high frequency
So you gave me the technical story.
Yeah, tell me
You
the
didn't
story.
give me the pain story.
Okay. Now we all know Metaverse.
No.
Okay.
So what you're saying, the problem is in Taiwan, we always tell people the scientific or the technology answer. What the management wants to know is this, what pain, what problem are you solving for them? They don't care about your cool idea, okay? They care that you fixed something. So I'll give you one example in the week before. I talked to a company yesterday, or last few weeks, that the number one problem in the shoe industry right now is tying shoelaces at the factory. Okay? So when they make a shoe, they have to put the shoelace. That's actually 10,000 people at this factory this day. So I called yesterday to a robotic company in the US and I said, hey guys, can you do this? And they said, of course. So it's like, but because the story that we're going to go back to the shoe guy is, we solve your problem. We're not that we have robots. It's not that we're cool. It's the pain we're solving. Okay? It's your story. Okay? Technical people want to know the technical answer. But if you're going to push up, you need the story.
One more question, and then we're going to go to lunch. Okay, in the middle there. What's your name, your company? And keep the question short, please.
I'm Mike Galvez from ADATA Intelligence, and I was going to ask you a question for Luca and maybe Sascha too. All of you really, but how do you reconcile the need for so much energy to run blockchain technology in the metaverse with sustainability?
That's a very good point. I mean, one of the reasons why I don't have any bitcoins anymore, right? And people are always saying, oh, you know what, we're gonna
You cashed in for money.
unfortunately too early. I agree. I think the way that coins are getting mined right now, and once again, we shouldn't. There's a difference between a blockchain and a cryptocurrency, of course. I truly believe it's a huge opportunity for the blockchain to get our grids more sustainable in the future, to optimize processes, to optimize energy streams, and to use them in a more efficient way. Blockchain will completely revolutionize our global grid. I truly believe that. Yes.
Closing thoughts on this?
So just one thing, for me, what I'm today doing for that is obviously, as I mentioned before, this is a big dilemma. And it's not going to be easily solvable until everybody decides, oh, okay, let's use Ethereum 2.0 because it helps with this. And that's going to be very, very difficult because everybody is invested in Bitcoin and other trades, right? So what I'm doing today in the gaming world is XPG is one of the biggest providers of top-notch power supplies for PC gaming, and we're just announcing, for instance, our next level platinum power supply. We have a fantastic diamond level power supply, and so the only thing that we can do to control this, and we're really trying to put some effort on it, is how do we decrease at least the level of waste from efficiency perspective, right? So power supplies are at 80 plus as a brand is actually a terrible brand because everything is 80 plus nowadays. But for instance, we're working on how do we optimize a 92% efficiency on a desktop, right? And how do we make it affordable for people? Our latest platinum level power supply is actually costing half of what the rest of the market costs, and it's half the size, and it helps really with this level of concerns. How do I shift to a better efficient solution, at least for the time being, right? Until there is a bigger solution that solves a bigger part of the picture.
Okay,
that's what I'm going to do today.
That's what. So, well, you brought up the right point. If you're a startup, things to think about is energy. Energy is the one thing startups need to think about. New batteries, lithium is not the answer. New ways of storage, grid storage, all of that. It's about electricity, right? If everybody knows Texas had 4 days of no power this year, what would you do in Taiwan if you had no power for 4 days? Okay, so that's all, to me, if you look at what we invest in life, things that are life critical, things that are in power, in agriculture, in things in sustainability, transportation, health. Those are what we call, survival tech. Yeah, we do survival tech is what, and survival tech is what we're talking about. How do you do things at a right amount of energy? Because energy is the number one thing.
Yeah, so in closing, we are here because we believe Taiwan didn't only power the first rise of the internet, the consumer electronics movement, but also is going to enable the future technologies. That's why we're here. To Joe, who calls himself a COVID refugee, Joe, I have news for you. The COVID refugees all left in May this year. So you're not a COVID refugee. Applause to all of our panelists, to everybody here. Let's have lunch. The speakers and their guests, we will have lunch in a dedicated area as well. And we turn it over to the moderator.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.